It's time for your daily dose of all things Chicago sports. This is the Daily Score. Now, here's your host, Mark Grote.
Hello and welcome into the Daily Score. I'm Mark Grote. This is our first program of the new year, so happy new year to everybody. It's our first program since the Bears beat Atlanta 37-17, and more importantly, they have the number one overall pick in the draft. Justin Fields was excellent. He moved the meter for me. You know, I've been hard on Justin Fields, or I've had high expectations for Justin Fields. I've talked about wanting to see discernible differences in games, and I saw that in his 20 for 32, 260-yard, 2 TD performance, one with the legs, of course, on several plays. Again, a strong first drive. Beginning of the game, boom, 32 yards to DJ Moore was excellent. But guess what? They played consistently throughout the game. Justin Fields was making plays throughout the game as opposed to, wow, what a great first drive. What happened the rest of the way? What was up with that fourth quarter turnover? And in fact, the antithesis, you could put Justin Fields down as a lot of the reason why the Bears won the game, with just some of the spectacular plays that he made in the contest. DJ Moore as well. I mean, that is something that we've talked about in this podcast. Like, when you start to look at positives for the season, the record will not go down as a positive no matter what happens at the Packers. But DJ Moore and that chemistry that they have built to the tune of 1,300 yards this year has been great. I mean, how many times have we seen it in Chicago sports where you trade for a big guy, or you draft somebody that is a flop or a failure, and we're just like, what happened? In this case, it has been great. So now the Bears with the number one overall pick. If you're asking me, what do you do? I have to be careful not to be too emotional about what I saw in the game on Sunday, because while it was terrific, still look at the full body of work. And I think that they have to take drafting USC's quarterback Caleb Williams very seriously. There's a lot of homework to be done by the Bears, by Ryan Poles, and me for that matter. A lot of us, this is the time where we start to really dig in. And as time goes on, hopefully I will bring you people that will have some serious expertise on quarterbacks, and I'll dig in myself. But I do think, despite what we saw Sunday from Justin Fields and what we might see against the Green Bay Packers, you have to take Caleb Williams seriously, and I have not backed off on that at all. One of the things that I'm going to do for you guys throughout, starting today and throughout this podcast, the Daily Score, right up until the draft or whenever it needs to stop, is opinions from people on what the Bears should do. And Kurt Warner, the Hall of Fame quarterback, a regular on the Parkins and Spiegel show, was on their show. And let's just start with him. Let's get right into it. He was asked the question, what would he do with the number one overall pick if he was Ryan Poles and the Bears?
Haven't had all the questions answered from Justin. So if I felt there was another quarterback in this draft that I felt could be that guy, that he was off the charts in whatever I was looking for and whatever I believe made a franchise quarterback, and I was picking number one overall, I would probably have to go that route, just because there's still questions about Justin. And, it might not be fair to Justin because he's gotten better and he's shown us things, and maybe he just needs another year or two. I just think it's a unique situation if you're picking number one overall.
Yep.
And you have the pick of the litter at the quarterback position with guys that, and again, I haven't watched these college guys, so I'm not ready to say, oh yeah, 3 of these guys I believe are franchise quarterbacks or can be better than Justin. I haven't watched them enough to know that, but just from what I hear, people seem to think that this quarterback class could be really, really special, and there could be more than one of those guys that's there. And I think if you believe one of them's there and you're the number one pick, that you probably have to go that route if you're not fully convinced on Justin Fields. And it just, doesn't seem to me that anybody is fully convinced. And again, I don't want this to be a knock on Justin, because I think he's done some good things. It's just timing, situation, I think it lends itself to say, you got to be sure. You got to be 100% sure he is that guy. If he is, great. Go get some other talented guys at the top of the draft, surround him, and you guys could be really good. But if you don't, I think you have to go the quarterback route.
I am inferring from what Kurt Warner is saying, and I know he kind of gave both sides of it there at the end. I think he thinks the Bears should go grab a quarterback. He didn't necessarily say Caleb Williams by name, but I think that's what Kurt Warner is saying right there. And he said it correctly. You have to do your due diligence. One of the things that Ryan Poles has said in the past is that he cannot let emotions get involved. And Lord knows there was some, like that game on Sunday, the New Year's Eve game against Atlanta, 37-17. That was an emotional day, man. From the very start. I mean, I was there, probably about 9:00, down close to the field and just watching warm-ups and tune-ups like I do, seeing Justin Fields before the game, signing autographs and hearing comments from fans in the stands saying, "We love you, Justin." I mean, this was going on. I know that famously the fans were chanting in the game, "We want Justin," but I can tell you that this was kind of going on even before the game. It was like this whole appreciation day for Justin Fields. So it was emotionally jacked up even before the game started. And then Justin Fields pays it off. And then after the game, he's high-fiving all the fans he can. So there was a lot of emotions involved. And I mean, me too. I couldn't help but feeling that too, and kind of feeling it for Justin Fields, a guy that I've gotten to know a little bit, especially in his first 2 years when I was doing the sidelines and I got to interview him one-on-one. I was always the first interview. So, I as a human being, I root for the guy and try to keep an objective mind about it. But I can say Ryan Poles has to. He has to. And he cannot let what went down at Soldier Field, I'm sorry, he cannot let that factor in his decision. And just to kind of push that point a little bit further, let's listen to Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel has his own YouTube show, another regular guest on the Parkins and Spiegel show on The Score, another guy that I interviewed several times because he was Mitch Trubisky's backup with the Bears and Trubisky missed games. And so I would interview Chase Daniel, who was probably one of the best quarterback interviews I've ever had, just because he's a super smart dude, analytically for sure. But Chase Daniel on the show was asked, what happens if the Bears do draft Caleb Williams?
You pick a guy, number one, at quarterback, you cannot keep Justin Fields on the roster. And the reason I'm saying that is after reading, and I read like 4 or 5 articles to prepare for this, and every single article I read out of Chicago was how much the players love Justin Fields and how much they want him to be his quarterback. DJ Moore, star receiver. Like, he's like, yeah, I said it. So what? Like, now it's on ownership. So now it's really flipped the script where he's won that locker room, and everyone on that team, like player-wise, wants him to be the quarterback. Now you're going to have an absolute disaster on your hands if you keep him. So I just wanted to get that out because I knew that was coming, and I have been on record. But after seeing and hearing his teammates say that, like, I'm impressed, guys. It's impressive.
I agree with that completely. What if they do trade Justin Fields and all of his teammates are disappointed? How tough is that for Caleb Williams or Drake May to walk into?
You get over it. They'll be disappointed for the offseason. Yeah. And then they'll see Caleb Williams or Drake May, or shoot, I put Michael Penix up there now. Like the dude last night put on an absolute show. Like, just pure actually throwing the football. Like, you've got to put him up there in that conversation as well. But they'll get over it, and as soon as they see a new guy come in, like, yeah, hey, like Justin might be their boy. It's a game of football, and it's a decision that Poles make. And I'm sure like whatever decision they make, if Poles goes that direction, he'll call in the leaders of the team and be like, hey, look, like, is it just too good of an opportunity to pass up to draft a quarterback? Like, we love Justin, yada yada yada, all that talk. But it'll be fun.
So what a great answer from Chase Daniel. I love that he answered that too. I like the answer to it, I should say. They'll get over it because it's true. They'll have no choice to get over it. And the players may resent that Justin Fields is gone if he is gone. But it's personal for these guys in terms of this is their career. You can't waste time lamenting a player that is gone from. But it would be very interesting to see Caleb Williams and Justin Fields on the same roster. And I know that that's probably not a tenable situation based on what Chase Daniel said, and just ultimately money-wise. I mean, you could work it out. I mean, you do have the franchise tag, which you could hand to the quarterback for sure. And, you'd have him you'd have him this year, the option year, and the following year. So there are ways to do it, but I hear what Chase Daniel is saying for sure. And yeah, I mean, I was in the locker room after the Atlanta win with the cigar smoke and all of that. And, the testimonials have really picked up on Justin Fields. I think earlier in the season, not that players didn't support him, because they did, but they are much more glowing now. For instance, I was part of a small group of reporters that was talking to Tyreek Stevenson of the 2 interceptions. And he was asked about hearing the chanting, "We want Justin." And he was like, "Shit, I want Justin." That was his exact quote. So, that part is clear. And they like Justin Fields. But again, I don't know how much Ryan Poles should or needs to take that into consideration. It's cool. It's very cool. And he knows that locker room better than anybody, but it cannot be a massive factor, because guess what? They'll get over it. Last thing I want you to hear is my favorite cut of one of my favorite sound bites of the year from DJ Moore, who was spectacular with the 9 catches, 159 yards, touchdown, the long of 32. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, he's up to 1,300 yards, the best he's ever done in his career. We're talk to him here. You're going to hear from him talking about his game, but then he's also going to get into the number 1 overall pick. He will also get into Justin Fields and his latest testimonial for Fields. So let's take a listen here to DJ Moore.
Cole Kmet was saying that he was kind of astonished how often Atlanta left you open. Did you feel that way today?
No. We was kind of setting them up for with rub plays, and it happened to be in their specific coverage that allowed us to get the rub and be wide open.
Does that mean a lot to you to surpass your career high?
Yeah. So 5 years in Carolina, and then to come here with year 1 and surpass that is amazing.
You mentioned the Houdini act that Justin Fields that I assume you're talking about, where he loses the sack and then runs down the field. Are you surprised by it anymore? Because, he's done that. It feels like a handful of times this year.
Yeah, because you never know what he's going to do. And that one was like a real extended play. So for him to even break that first tackle and just start zooming to get the first down was amazing.
What do you think about you getting the number 1 overall pick, team?
I feel like the number 1 overall pick when they traded for me, so I was like, yeah, cool. But, thanks to Carolina, so, that's all I can say to that.
DJ, how much would you vouch for Justin Fields this offseason just to keep the chemistry together?
I said it before, I'm going to keep saying it. What makes him not the quarterback? Today, the Houdini act should have just put the nail in. He's not running back, but he's him. So, he's going to be the quarterback. I want him to be the quarterback. I said what I said. Now it's on the higher up, so it's up there. It's up to them. I did hear those chants, and I know their box is right there, so I know they heard that stuff too. So,
yeah, they heard the chants, and DJ Moore, yeah, man, he was the number 1 pick for the Bears the last year. Sorry, with all due respect to Darnell Wright, who's had a nice developmental year. Feel like I will see him as the right tackle for a long time to come. And yeah, this is going to be a fun ride. I'll be out at Hallis Hall every day this week. We'll be talking to Justin Fields on Wednesday, Getsy on Thursday. Hey, Getsy was good. You heard DJ Moore didn't say his name, but what they thought they were going to see from Atlanta, they saw, and they exploited it for DJ Moore to the tune of 159 yards. So give Luke Getsy a little bit of credit. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Hope your new year is off to a good start. For Ray Diaz, I'm Mark Grote, and this is the Daily Score.